What up guys, it's Berend here from Berend Sons, and today in this new episode of Berend Talks Watches we're going to talk about one of the most interesting Rolex models, the Rolex Datejust. Today we're going to talk about why the Rolex Datejust was maybe one of the most important watches from the lineup, and I think why you should buy one. But first a history lesson. The Rolex Datejust came for the first time to the market in the early 1950s. Back then it was the first self-winding, officially chronometer certified wristwatch with a date function, which makes it already very historically important. But for Rolex itself it was an important watch too, because since its beginning it's one of the most sold watches from the Rolex branding. And back then it was even an expensive watch. It was back then even more expensive than, for example, a Submariner or a Daytona. Today that's a little bit different, but I think these watches are still very interesting. But forget about the history from the Datejust for a second, because there's a far more interesting thing about the Datejust model. That's the style of the watch. Because over the years they made so many variations in dials, etc. You can never really go wrong with them. There is always a Datejust that will suit your style. If you want to dress more formal, wear suits, you can wear a Datejust. If you wear jeans and t-shirts, more casual, you can wear a Datejust. But if you want to look like Tupac or Jay-Z, or look like the biggest baller on a night out, you can also wear a Datejust. That's what makes them interesting. But besides the style, don't forget that the Rolex Datejust is a model from the most famous watch brand in the world. And that's something you definitely feel while wearing one. I can personally tell you this because I've been wearing my watch for the last years almost every day. And the feeling, the comfort and the richness they gave on your wrist is such unbelievable. These pieces are so timeless and you can enjoy them for the next years. And that's why I think the Rolex Datejust is maybe the best first Rolex you can buy. So now it's time to dive a little bit more into the details and variations itself. The first reference I want to take you in is the reference 1603. And if you look to this watch, this is maybe the most common configuration you can find on the Datejust, which means Jubilee bracelet, engine turned bezel and a silver dial. If you look to this watch specifically, it has a fully Jubilee bracelet, which means that the links on this bracelet are made from folded steel, which is lighter and thinner, so maybe more comfortable to wear. And it has, as all 1603s, a pipe and dial, which means that the edge of the dial has a drop in it, which gives it more depth. And if you look at this watch specifically, it has a rare dial, because this dial has sigma markers, which means that the hour markers on this watch are made from gold, and in the specific one it's white gold, which is rare actually. And if we have another look here at the table, we have another 1603, which is an earlier and more rare version, because this one has a bamboo bezel, which is actually kind of rare. You don't see them that often, you can see the difference of course. It has a different type of graving, but this one also has a Swiss dial, also a pipe pen of course, and a different type of hands. This one has earlier hands, which are arrow hands. So the total configuration of this watch is more rare, but also it gives a little bit more vintage feel on the wrist because of the different look. So we already talked about the reference 1603, which is a more common reference, and now it's time to talk about a more rarer reference, which is the reference 16000, which is this watch. And as you can see, this watch has an overall more sporty look. That is partly because of the oyster bracelet, which is the same bracelet you can find in the GMT, but also because of the dome bezel. This combination gives the watch an overall more bigger look. And because the reference 16000 is a later reference than the 1603, it means it already has a quick-set date function and a flat dial, which gives it an overall different feeling on the wrist. This watch still has the plexi crystal, which gives it a warm feeling on the wrist, like all the vintage Datejusts we have here on the table, and I personally like plexi crystals more because plexi is sexy. If you're looking for another gem for the 80s, the reference 16030 might be the reference for you, which is the reference I personally own myself and is maybe my favorite reference. But let's talk about this watch here, which is the reference 16030 with a Buckley dial, which means it has Roman numerals, you can get this watch with a blue dial, black dial. This one is the one with a white dial. It has black hands, a Jubilee bracelet, which in this case is a solid Jubilee bracelet, which means that the links are made from solid metal. It has also the flat dial again, because it's a later reference, an engine turned bezel. And this specific one comes with box and papers, which is nice, but at my age I care about the watch more than about the box and papers. So it's just about the watch. I love them, and this one is great. So if you're looking for more something different or a rarer one, this might be a reference for you. So I already talked about some steel versions of the Datejust, but the Datejust was also made from gold and steel gold. And we have a steel gold version here, also known as B color. And this one is a reference 1601, which is also an earlier reference like the 1603. But the difference between the 1603 and the 1601 lays in the bezel. The 1603 has an engine turned bezel, the 1601 has a fluted bezel, and on the 1601 they are always made from gold. So in the steel ones from white gold, and on the B color like this one from yellow gold. So that's the difference. And this one also has a sigma dial, which means that the hour markers are also made from gold. In this case also yellow gold. And this one also has a white boy dial, which is more rare, and it means that the hands and the markers are thicker, which gives it a more rich feeling, a more powerful feeling on the wrist. Bicolor means that the center links are made from gold, the crown is made from gold, the bezel is made from gold, and the hour set markers are made from gold, which gives it a more rich feeling on the wrist. And if you're looking for a little bit more bling, you can find it in the steel gold version. I personally like steel gold versions a lot. I think they give a different feeling on the wrist, and I think this is a great watch you should consider as well. So I already showed you some pieces that could be your first great Rolex, but the Datejust lineup has also some more collectible pieces, like for example this reference 1625, also known as the turnograph. This watch has a different look to it because of the bezel, which is a turnograph bezel. This specific one has a gilt dial, which gives it a more deeper black flavor to it, which is really nice. Last but not least, I want to show you a rare piece from the mid-50s, which is this reference 6155 in full gold, with a rare full gold riveted oyster bracelet and the overtone case, which means that the case back is a little bit more thicker. And as you can see, the earlier Datejusts don't have the Cyclops yet. This one has a red date function and a matte dial. And this is maybe a piece for a more experienced collector, which is more interested in special Datejusts. So, I hope you enjoyed my watch talk about the Rolex Datejust. I hope you're already interested in thinking about buying one, because I think right now is the right time to buy one, because they're still reasonably priced, but the demand is getting higher, so it's starting to get harder and harder to find a good one. And that's maybe something you have to think about when buying one. Make sure you find one with an overall good condition, a clean dial and a good case. If you're thinking about buying one, make sure you contact us, because our watch team and experts will make sure they find the right one for you in a real good condition, which you can enjoy for a lifetime and have a lot of fun with and enjoy. So I hope to see you guys again. A lot of videos are coming up, so stay tuned and have a nice week.